But yeah, I wouldn't want a double auger system. I like the singles. Big single augers work good. The pickup tines in this mouth, I've never put a pickup tine in this mouth. Never. I'm about to when I go through the baler, and the reason why I'm going to have to is because last field of hay I was in, my dad was raking and he didn't know it was there, neither did I, but there was a buried stump that had went over. Somebody took dirt and just covered it up over the top of it, and he raked the windrow right over the top of it, and when he did, it was just high enough to where it was uneven the rest of the pickup mouth, and it hung the mouth bad. And as y'all can see, there's a tooth missing, so I've got a couple of teeth I got to replace. But I've never had to put pickup teeth in this mouth. It is the best one we've ever had about pickup teeth. The Vermeers, we've probably put 5 sets in each baler, entire sets over the time period, the amount of bales this one has in it. Let's see, but that is the pickup mouth. One thing I would like to have that I didn't get was the roller the roller for the windrows, the crop press. I would love to have that because we have a lot of Johnson grass in our area, and it flows in real heavy, and it would just help smooth up the flow going in. But this thing eats hay like nothing I've ever seen before. I can count on one hand how many times I've ever stopped this baler up, and I think it was 4 or 5 times, but that's it. There's never been a real problem with that. Well, while we're here, we'll go into the net. To get up to it, you just climb up to here, but when you load your net, you just flip the hood up, and then you lay your roll into your roll up here and you just push it in. But let's climb up here. We'll look at this. This is probably my least favorite feature about this baler. You take your brake off, and then your roll's right there. This one's been in here all winter, so. But you go over the top of one roller, under this roller, and then it comes back up and lays over the top of that rubber roller, and you feed it between the roller behind it. The biggest issues I've had with this baler is, one thing is starting off a new roll of net until you get so many cycles out of it. And the reason why is, I don't know if y'all can see it, this canvas here puts pressure on the belts and the roller down here, and your net feeds down in behind this, and that's how it starts. Well, the problem is once you get probably 7,000 rolls through it is when I started having issues with it. Once you get that many on it, the tarp or canvas stretches out, and then it gets a little bit harder to start it. But the way I found to solve that problem is to turn my bale sizes down just a little bit and keep feeding hay into it to keep pressure on this canvas, and then it'll take off just fine. But every now and then it can be a little bit aggravating. But on the new 460 models, which is the replacement for this baler they're coming out with this year, they've came up with a sheet metal design instead of this canvas. It has an actuator that puts pressure onto that when you start your net to solve that issue from now on. And then once it gets started, it pulls the piece of metal back and unclamps it. It's just a round piece of sheet metal that takes the place of this canvas, and it just applies pressure. But that was the biggest issue I've had with this baler, is that. But other than that, I've not really had any major issues with it, with the net system on this. To change your wraps, you have a chart here that you go by, and then you have notches for each size. I'm running 60-inch bales, so I'm all the way on the end, and it's 2.2 for number 4. That's what I run. I put 2.2 wraps on. Come back here. The other part of the pickup mouth is these chains. It has chains on each side. It has a slip clutch, if y'all can see it, right back in there. all the way at the front. Now the slip clutch is on the other side. Yeah, that's where it's at. It's at the front up there on the other side. And it has that for the pickup mouth roll bar, and it also has a shear pin right here. This shear pin is probably what saved me from ever having to put teeth in. You don't have to replace them that often, but it's probably like more of a 500, 600, 700 roll deal. You have to replace them every so often. It's a lot cheaper than having to replace baler teeth though. Let's go ahead and open the sides. With these latches, it has those stupid lock design latches I'm not crazy about, but if you look right up in there, at the end of that spring, there's a little piece. You just push on it with your hand and you can open it. Here's your twine boxes. You can put twine up here, or you and then they have a spot for the net roll down here. There's also an access door to get to the hydraulic cylinder. It's behind there, and the grease ports for it. You just undo these wing nuts on each side and you take that out and get to it. It's real easy. If you don't have the twine on the baler, this is also for net up here too. You can put 2 rolls in it. Over here is your drive system for your net. The belt feed system is what drives the roller up there for it. To change to twine, this is one thing I don't like about this baler, is you pull this clip out and you pull this little gear right here back, and then you slide the clip back behind it. But that's it. I mean, it's not real hard, but it's not the Vermeer. I can just hit a button inside, but that's the only really complaint as far as the operation I have with it, other than the net. But the other big complaint about this baler is it collects a lot of hay, because it has so many places to collect it. But I can live with that because the thing bales perfect every time. And as far as the operation goes, I don't really care. I don't want him to change the design other than that net with the start, which they've already fixed, because this thing works so perfect. But the hatch opens incredibly fast. I'll show you all that in a minute. I have my rear view camera back here mounted so I can see the bale come out. It has the spring-loaded kick bar. These bars are a whole lot better than the hydraulic kickers that you see. I've never had an issue with these. Throwing uphill, going backwards, the bale always clears this thing. And the reason why is the chamber speed is a lot faster on these Clauses than it is on a regular baler, or all the other ones. And it will throw it past this bar. I've never had a problem with that. So, and that's one way they've sped up throwing the bale open. You have this roller here. When I first got the baler, this roller is hollow and it has a shaft that runs through it to these bearings. There was a manufacturing problem with it, and the shaft was broken inside, and it caused one of these bearings to go out. So they replaced all that, and ever since then I haven't had any issues with it. It was just a one-time deal thing. But come over here. You have 2 lights to each side. The one thing cheap they made on it was these, and you can see I've done so well. It's had a little hairline cracks. It's just thin sheet metal, but everything's heavy on this thing. This baler's heavy. It does have the plastic doors and covers just to cut down on weight. If those were steel, I'd hate to see how much this thing weighed. But this bearing here is the only bearing that has been replaced on this baler due to wear, and I replaced it at about 5,000 rolls. Was that one? That is it. That's the only thing I've had to replace due to wear on this baler, or having an issue with it. The oil that's here is from the oilers. It comes from the chains. There's a drive chain that drives that roller I was just talking about inside of here, and over time it'll collect. I haven't washed this thing yet. I don't like to wash them over the winter because of it'll cause rust in the bearings, and the bearings will go bad. But that is the only bearing down there that I've ever replaced on this baler, other than the one for the shaft over there. Let's see, that's all your chains. It has heavy chains. As y'all can see, those are real heavy. It has oil tanks right there to fill. They've changed the design on this and made it bigger, and the mouth opened wider. The mouth was a little bit small on these. You have a grease fitting here. The another complaint I have with this one is the grease fittings are all over the place, and it doesn't really have a grease bank. Now you can buy 460, comes with a long grease bank, and you can have that added on. And I think I've seen pictures, they have automatic greasers, so that way it will grease itself after so many bales. This bar is for if you do have a jam, you stick it on this shaft and you turn it, and it will reverse turn the baler as you pull on it, and that works good if you do ever have a clog. Like I said, I've never really clogged this thing, so I don't never use it. So here's your declutcher assembly right here. When I first got this baler, this was dripping a little bit. They replaced that. I haven't had any issues with it after that. But that is the declutcher. Trying to think, you have your tension springs and everything up there. It has 4 hydraulic cylinders. It has for tensioning, kind of like the Massey Ferguson balers. It has one here and one up there. These balers bale a tight bale. Hey, you can make them so tight you can't spear them. They just don't. I mean, they just bale perfect bales every single time, and you don't have an issue. I don't know why you don't see more of these than you do. I guess it's more of a marketing issue that Claas has than anything. They more or less let their equipment do the talking. And in our area, since they've gotten in it and people started buying them, they've just exploded around here. But I mean, I really haven't had to do anything to this thing other than what I told y'all. That's it. And that's over 12,000 and something rolls. But now they've made these wheels adjustable where you can set them in for travel or pull them out. Used to, you'd pull a clip pin on the back side and that one there, and then you would stick it back here in this hole for if you were going down the road with a trailer or something, you didn't want it to hang over, and you would stick your flat bar on that and pin it up and it would stay there. But I mean, they're not real complicated. They look more complicated than they are. They're actually probably pretty simple once you learn what everything is. Let's see. These springs and bars here is what sets your tensioner on your net that pulls down. It also has this adjustment here for this rod. That is what sets the the drive roller in there, the compression on it, where your net will start off to feed down in there. And then your jacks over here. I love the jack on this thing. It is so easy to jack up. It's not one of those stupid little short things that you have to screw around forever. Your twine. This thing does a really nice job tying with twine. I haven't ever used it much. We went straight to net after we bought this. But your 2 twine feeds are right there. You stick them in each side, and it has a, get in here so y'all can see. If y'all can see, it has those rollers. There's 2 of them, one on top of each other, and they roll the net down into that flap that I was talking about. It runs behind this sheet metal here, and it goes down in there and starts. I've never had an issue with those starting. And then that little red thing, it'll work its way across here on a track and back across. It ties nearly as good as, well, it does. It ties as good as the New Holland does. It's twine. And then your knife is here and it slings around. It has a guard that cuts it. But I've never really used the twine on this much. I've always used net. These balers tie as fast as any baler I know of in the market. They're extremely fast on getting tied and getting the baler out and taking off again. You do not have to wait around about taking off of these, you just take off. That's it for this video. I will continue more in the next one. Thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe.